The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Thank you for joining April's APQC orientation. Before we get started, in just a few minutes, I'm going to go over a couple housekeeping items. The presentation will get started in just a few minutes.
Oh, sorry about that.
Before the presentation gets started, let me go over these housekeeping items. The audio is available today through your computer speakers or a dial-in conference line. All phone lines are muted. Please, if you have any questions or comments, submit your questions or comments through the question and answers tool located on your right-hand side of your screen. The links to the slides and recordings will be made available and sent to you all via email in just a couple of business days. Now I'd like to turn the presentation over to today's Membership Success Manager, Charles Nevels. Thank you so much, Charles.
Thank you very much, Caitlin, and thank you all for joining me today on April Fool's Day for the APQC membership overview. My name is Charles Nevels. I'm a Senior Member Success Manager here at APQC. I've been here for about 14 and a half years. Actually, next month will be 15 years. And my primary responsibilities here at APQC is that I have a group of member organizations that I do the customer service and support. And then I have a group of non-member industries, which include telecom, petroleum, oil and gas, electric utilities, and CPG. And with those non-member industries, I answer questions, I provide information, and when there is a synergy, obviously bring them into the membership. So again, I'd like to thank you very much. I know here in the United States, in Houston, it's been trying and unusual times, but I want you to know that everyone here at APQC works remote now. And for APQC, that's pretty much business as usual. So whether you're a member or a non-member, I want you to know, again, for APQC, we're operating business as usual. So always feel free to call or email. That's what we're here for. And to be honest with you, we like to hear from you. APQC is the world's foremost authority in benchmarking, best practices, and excuse me 1 second here. Okay, I've got one little thing here. Okay, benchmarking, best practices, process and performance improvement, and knowledge management. APQC's unique structure as a member-based nonprofit makes it a differentiator in the marketplace. APQC partners with more than 500 member organizations worldwide in all industries. Whoops. Our mission, we have a threefold mission here at APQC. We actually research. We conduct research to discover and document world-class business practices. We share our proven methodologies, and we connect. We actually assist organizations around the world in adapting and using benchmarks and best practices. APQC operates with extremely high values. We give our members and our clients trustworthy answers, and we provide lasting solutions, not quick fixes. At APQC, we work in a environment of fearless creativity and structured innovation, which we're experiencing a lot more of that now. Obviously, individual contribution for collective achievement, and not only internally but externally, APQC provides continual learning, sharing, and growth experiences. APQC provides proven, trusted decision support for your business. Okay, I'm sorry, I've got a little bit, okay, for your business. APQC operates in several areas, including process and performance management, knowledge management, financial management, human capital management, and supply chain management. So this kind of represents the different business practices that APQC supports. We have over 550 member organizations worldwide and over 45 industries. Worldwide, we have more than 150,000 professionals dedicated to process and performance improvement. APQC has over 25 years leading knowledge management as a knowledge management leading authority since 1995, and members and non-members as well can access an online library of research-based best practices. APQC provides validated, neutral, trusted data, and you can also access the world's most widely used process framework called the APQC Process Classification Framework. The enterprise membership is one type of membership that we offer, and it's really the best membership because first of all, everyone in your organization is a member. You'll have access to all of the best practice benchmarking. So it's unrestricted access to best practice reports, case studies, tools, and templates around the enterprise. You'll have access to process and performance benchmarking through what we call benchmarks on demand, and that's unrestricted. And it's unrestricted access to over 3,400 process measures across your enterprise, and enterprise members are allowed to set up their own customized peer groups. You'll have access to process and performance benchmarking performance assessments. You'll have unrestricted access to those. There are more than 20 high level and 25 detailed assessments plus custom services which allow you to create your own benchmarking report and expert review of any open standards benchmarking assessments. You'll have access to Mosaic as well, which allows you to create custom frameworks. You'll have access to professional development events as well. Our enterprise members actually get 2 free tickets to our conferences. You'll also have access to custom services like Ask Us Plus, Hours with Experts, and the Mosaic Jumpstart, which I'll go into those a little bit more in depth later. The second type of membership that APQC offers is a functional area membership. So with our functional area memberships, we have finance, HR, knowledge management, supply chain. Again, every employee is a member. Every employee will have access to the membership, but the functional area memberships are limited to those specific areas. So if you have a finance membership, you'll have access to all of the finance best practice benchmarking, process performance benchmarking like benchmarks on demand. You'll have access to the process performance benchmarking through the performance assessments. You'll have access to Mosaic, but that's all within that functional area. Okay, most organizations now are looking at processes from end to end. Most organizations now that we encounter are looking at more than one function. But if you feel that you only need one function, the functional area membership is the best. Process and performance management, which is process improvement, benchmarking, process management, comes with every membership. Okay, and you'll be able to attend professional development events like our webinars, and even as a functional member, you'll still get discounts to our conference, and you'll be able to access the Ask Us as well. APQC member resources. So I'm going to go through this a little bit more in depth for you. Members will have access to our resource library. Our research covers over 70 process areas. The research team provides proven research methods, develops solutions, strategies, and tools to solve your business problems. Working alone and in partnership with our member organizations and industry experts, we discover and capture the key processes and enablers behind successful business practices. You'll be able to access over 30 plus performance assessments, over 5,000 articles, white papers, case studies, tools, and templates, as well as 3,400 performance measures. The APQC process classification framework, I mentioned this when I mentioned the world's most widely used framework. It's the APQC process classification framework. Anyone can access this from our website. At its simplest level, it's a list that organizations use to define work processes comprehensively and without redundancies. And in other words, this shows you what work is being done. Organizations use the process classification framework or the PCF for benchmarking. Okay, it helps you have clear definitions to compare your performance across your organizations or your peers. Organizations use it for content management, or you can organize content so that people can find what they need and work together. It provides a common language, standardization for work that is accomplished in the organization. The framework helps you also understand the dependencies and interconnections across and between processes. Performance management. A lot of organizations that are involved in process management use this framework to establish a process-based structure for measuring and managing performance. And obviously, process definition and management, the PCF is a great tool to help you standardize processes and identify improvement opportunities. You'll also have assessments, access to assessments to support every management need. Okay, so if you want to compare, for example, and I'm going on the screen, the very left column. Say if you want to compare operational KPIs to peers, you could choose the rapid performance assessment or the open standards benchmarking assessments. When you use these two, in both, you will submit your data in the form of an assessment. We do a validation process, compare your data to our database. Members have access to the world's largest metric database of its type, and within a short period of time, we send you back a report. That report will show your site, the median, and the top performers by quartile, and it'll be broken down by industry, by region, and by size of company. So as you can see across, when you want to compare operational KPIs to peers, you can use either one of those. It has, we cover over 45 process areas, including finance and accounting, HR, product development, supply chain, IT, and more. And again, you'll get a report, validated benchmarking information, including your performance relative to your peers, and again, by industry, by region, and by size of company. You can assess your business process management capabilities. We provide a BPM assessment tool. Okay, it covers your business process management. It helps you determine the current state of process management at your organization. Say you want to assess your knowledge management capabilities. We have a KM capability assessments tool. We call it the KM CAT. It covers knowledge management, gives you an overall maturity rating of your KM program, as well as scores for 12 different KM capabilities. If you want to find out how your organization's operations, activities, and resource investments compared to peers, we have research assessment. Okay, and we do these varied upon our research agenda, and you'll get a summary of findings, survey findings, and access to case studies, articles, and best practices derived from that research. So again, we have assessments to support every management need. We also do just-in-time process performance benchmarking. So this is basically our benchmarks on demand tool. We have an on-demand tool where you get instant results. It's an online tool. All you have to do is select your measure, you filter and set up your own peer groups, and then press continue, and you receive an instant report. Okay. You're also able to find out additional information about the measures, including definitions and formulas. But again, all of this that I'm talking about, I'm going to do a website demo and actually show it to you. Mosaic is a tool for managing processes and organizations of all sizes, enabling quick and easy adoption of APQC's process classification framework. It helps you create custom frameworks that scale and mature as your business is involved, and create a common language around your processes so that you can move past defining what the business does into how the work is done. So the framework, when you download it from the website, is in a Excel spreadsheet. And a lot of people use those Excel spreadsheets. What we did is added on Mosaic, which is a cloud-based secure environment where you can go in and it has drag and drop capabilities. All of the frameworks are loaded in, so you can actually a lot easier modify a custom framework, plus all of the best practices and the benchmarking data is all contained in the same place. So you'd have a cloud-based environment where your custom framework resides. Other people can go onto the cloud in your organization and view those frameworks, and you can actually export it very easily into another Excel spreadsheet. And it doesn't matter if you're part of a centralized or decentralized process function, whether you're trying to break through process silos, whether you're trying to create a process management tool synergy, or you're trying to align strategic goals with an executive dashboard. Mosaic will help you do all of that, and largely customizing process frameworks as well. So if you ever need help getting started, enterprise members have 4 hours included with their membership for a Mosaic Jumpstart. And if you need any help at all with Mosaic, just reach out to your member success manager, and we can talk about a Jumpstart with Mosaic Accelerator if you're not an enterprise member to help you. APQC has events. We have 2 major in-person events every year, and I'm sure you heard that. Unfortunately, the APQC KM conference is canceled, obviously, to the worldwide health crisis that's going on. But we're looking forward, really looking forward to the Process and Performance Management Conference in October here at the Houstonian Hotel, which is right next to APQC, the 5th through the 9th in 2020. And I think more than ever, our monthly webinars. We have webinars on a weekly basis, different functional areas, different topics. Some of them are for members only. A lot of them are open to non-members as well. And in the day and times that we're in right now, you may be able to access these webinars and attend them a lot more. If you're not able to attend, just register for what you're interested in, and we'll automatically send the slide deck and the recording to anyone who is registered. Here's a quote from the Bechtel Group. APQC events are an effective way to network with other professionals, learn about new techniques and technologies from current experts, and discuss lessons learned quickly and effectively. So they're more talking about the in-person events, but even if you're on a webinar and you're interested in doing some networking, just put that as a comment, and your relationship manager or member success manager will reach out. And if we can facilitate some networking for you, we're more than happy to do that. That's what we do at APQC. We're a big networking organization as well. So this is where I do the guided tour of the APQC website. So let me just go to, and let me just tell you also, when you're on the APQC website, it's best to use Chrome instead of Internet Explorer. The way the new website was rolled out, it's a lot better in Chrome. So when you come to the website, it's going to look like this. And if you're a non-member, if you're not registered for the website, it'll look like this. So if you're not registered, I strongly suggest that you hit the register button, put in your corporate email address, say you're not a robot, and submit. And if you are a member of APQC, you'll receive a automated email response from us. It'll contain a activation link and a way to set up your own password. If you're a non-member, this will give you non-member access. You'll actually be able to see about 10-12% of the content. You'll be able to download that, including the process classification framework, and you'll be able to see the titles and access summaries of a lot of the case studies and other information. So once you're in the website, the major navigation through the website is done through this tools. So when you click tools, the first thing that you're going to see is the resource library. Okay, the resource library is our online directory of best practice information. It includes tools, templates, best practice reports, case studies, white papers. As you can see, our resource library is a source for timely and topical information to help you meet your most complex business process and knowledge management challenges. Explore ever-growing collection of more than 5,000 research-based best practices, benchmarks and metrics, case studies, and other valuable content. So you can find information, obviously, by doing a keyword search, okay? As you can see, a lot of my keywords past searches are in here. Obviously, one of the big searches that I do is end-to-end processes. So when you do end-to-end, you've got case studies that come up, you have articles that come up, you have infographics, you have tools and templates. Say if I wanted an end-to-end process map and I'm going into, say, sales and operations planning, all I'd have to do is click that. It'll take us to the page. You can download the content, okay? But the nice thing about this website and the way it's set up, I clicked end-to-end process maps for sales and ops planning. Say that I am going to do end-to-end maps in other areas as well. When you scroll down on this piece of content, also found in this end-to-end process maps and measures. So when you click that, it's going to show you all of the ones that we have. Okay, so as you can see, idea to market, order to cash, procure to pay, hire to retire, record to report, sales and operations planning. So just by going into that one, if you kind of look at that result before you download the content, you might find other things that are related that can help you. And down here as well, related resources, developing end-to-end processes. Okay, here's all those other ones. Okay, current state, overview, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's one way of finding information. I did a keyword search. Okay, the other way that you would find information is that you could go by topic. Okay, say if we looked in these topics and say earlier today we were had a company on, we were talking about human capital management. So you could click there under the topic, okay, and we were talking a lot about employee communication engagement, 63 pieces of content. You can click there. Obviously, employee engagement and communication in the state that the world is in right now is the key topic for human resources people. So when you click that, employee communications, we've got 6 pieces. Here's some of the information that we have. Okay, so you can find it by topic. You can narrow it down and say, hey, I just want stuff that I want some case studies. Click that. There's 3 case studies. Boom. Okay. So you can find it by topic. You can find it by keyword search. Say you're in a particular industry and you wanted to narrow it down by industry, you could do that as well. So again, when you do the navigation, you use the tools. The first thing you're going to see is resource library. This is our online library of best practice information and other content. You could do a keyword search. You could search by topic. You could say, hey, I just want articles or case studies. You could do it by format and then go by topic. You could say, hey, I want benchmarks and metrics, case studies, so on and so forth, or narrow it down by industry. If you're not able to find what you're looking for, or if you don't want to search and you need something quickly, that's just a couple scenarios. Right here, ask us. If you click that, just go ahead and put your question in here and then put it under a particular topic and click ask us. We have a team of research analysts, project managers, and subject matter experts here to help. Again, just explain your request. Most questions will be answered within 2 to 3 business days. More complex questions will require additional time. So you can download our content in the resource library. You can also access our experts. That would be for qualitative or the how-to behind it. The next link that you're going to see is called Benchmarks on Demand, and below there is the assessments. These are the 3 ways that you can get metrics through your APQC membership. I'm going to start out under assessments in the Open Standards benchmarking. I'm going to do that for a couple reasons. When you go under Tools, Assessments, and then you click the Open Standards benchmarking, whether you're a member or a non-member, you can actually at least see a lot of things on here. So when you click the Open Standards and scroll down, even if you're not a member, you'll find information that can help you right now. Say you're doing a transformation or you need metrics in the finance and accounting area. So we're going to go ahead and click that. And say you're doing it under AP. Under finance and accounting, you can assess your performance in all of these areas, okay? But I'm just going to pick accounts payable. When you click it, it's going to give you an idea of the scope. You click here, it'll take you to the download page, and it will give you some more information about the assessment. But when you download the survey, what's going to happen is you're going to download an Excel data collection tool, okay? And like I mentioned, even non-members can assess this. So from left to right, you have the cover, the terms, the instructions. You can actually see the survey itself, member or non-member. You get a glossary of terms. You get the process classification framework. And I'm going to stop here for a second and talk about this just a little bit more. The process classification framework is a 4-level taxonomy of business processes across your enterprise. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the different ways that organizations use it. I just want to show it a little bit more in depth and in practice. So we did manage financial resources under the assessment, and whole number is the category level. It's the highest level on the framework. Think of it as a functional area. 1 decimal is a process group, or think of it as a group of processes under finance. 8.1, perform planning and management accounting. 8.2, revenue accounting. 8.3, general accounting and reporting. If you work in finance, you're going to recognize a lot of these areas. Manage fixed asset project accounting. I'm going to just go ahead and skip down to 8.6, which is process accounts payable and expense reimbursements. So under 8, which is finance, we have a group of processes or a process group called process accounts payable and expense reimbursements. The next decimal is the process underneath that group of processes underneath finance. So we have process accounts payable 861, and we have process expense reimbursements 862 underneath that. Okay, and under our process accounts payable, the next decimal are the actual activities that someone would perform. Okay, so you've got verify APP file with purchase order, vendor master file, and so on. Not every single company has everything on this framework, and we don't have everything on the framework that every single company has. But as you can see, it's a tremendous starting point. And as you can see, you will have to modify it. The best practice is to use the framework as is until you have a real reason to modify it. Okay. The next tab is the list of measures under the accounts payable and expense reimbursement assessment area. So from left to right, you have the measure ID, that's our internal numbering. You have the name of the measure, for example, cycle time in days from receipt of invoice until approved and scheduled for payment. It's a cycle time measure. We're co-founders of the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award, and with our Baldrige heritage, we break these measures into different categories. We have cost effectiveness measures, cycle time measures, staff productivity measures, so on and so forth. We have them all checked here so you can see them all. So the PCF element and the PCF ID is the way that you map that measure to the particular area of the framework. So if I go here and see, and I do a Control F for find, Control V for paste, and I do an enter, okay, I'm looking for process accounts payable, okay? So it picked up process accounts payable, but that's and expense reimbursements. So we're going to go to the next one, which is actually process accounts payable. So what that tells you is that particular measure is aligned to this area of the framework. You can also, and a real good point, you can also map it by the number, okay? So when you're using the PCF, don't touch these numbers. These map back to our benchmarking. You can move an area of the framework to another area of the framework, or you can change these names, okay, to make it look like your business a little more. We even did some modifying under on this framework. Manage pay, okay, payroll falls under finance. In our company at APQC, payroll actually falls under HR. So when we did our framework, we took out payroll from finance, we moved it up under HR, we gave it an HR number here, but we did not touch this number. Again, that maps back to our benchmarking. The last column is the metric formula. And a lot of times it's good to go back. That maps back to the question number on the assessment. So when you look at that first measure, cycle time in days from receipt of invoice until approved and scheduled for payment, and you go back and look at that survey question, so the first question that I would have myself, what do you mean by days? Okay, is that calendar days? What is that? So when we do the Control F and the Control V to go down to that question, when you look at the question, it generally will give a little bit more depth. So what is the average cycle time in calendar days, including weekends, from the receipt of invoice to when it's approved and scheduled for payment? So that when you look at the question, it'll give you more information. If you have a question and then this plus beside it, expand it, and we've got more information on the question or the survey. So a lot of organizations will look at this and say, hey, we're doing a transformation. We want to do some improvements in our AP area. What we're going to do is take this list of measures and go to that area okay, that area and talk to everybody who's involved and find out, hey, what are we measuring now? Okay, is it still aligned to our strategic goals, or are measures getting us back, the relevant data that we're looking for? And here's a list of measures that are standard in industry, and start having these conversations, okay? And generally speaking, a lot of companies will, change out some, or maybe just validate that they're doing the right ones. But at the end of those conversations, typically what'll happen, the people that are working in the group, the people that are accountable for the people in that group, even the supervisor, start asking, hey, I wonder how we compare to others in our industry in cycle time in days to resolve an invoice error? Or how do we compare to companies our size from cycle time in days from receipt of invoice until payment is transmitted? That's where the membership comes into play. Our members go back, they fill out 70% of that survey, they send it back to us. We do a validation process, compare the data to our database, and within 2 weeks, standard reporting time, we send the members back a report. That report will show your site, the median, and the top performers by quartile, and it'll be broken down by industry, by region, and by size of company. So that is one way that members get metrics from their APQC membership. That's called the open standards. That's our most detailed set of assessments. So when you go to the back to the website and you look at the tools bar under assessments, you'll see rapid performance assessments. Okay, so the rapid performance assessments are basically in the same areas. So if I click finance and accounting and I click accounts payable, okay, and I want to show you this because only members can see this. The non-members can at least see the assessments under the open standards. If you're a non-member and you send in an assessment, we're going to send you a note back because we charge non-members $5,000 per assessment. So you can see real quickly the value in the membership. There's probably 9 different finance assessments. You get access to all of those within the membership. $5,000 per, 9 times 5, that's 45. And even our enterprise membership is less than that. So when you look at the rapid performance assessment for accounts payable, the first thing that's going to really jump out at you when you look at this Excel data collection tool, and the biggest difference between the rapid performance assessment, when you look at the list of measures, it goes from line 2 down to line 27. That's the rapid performance assessment. When you look at the open standards assessment, those measures go from line 2 all the way down to line 134. The open standards is our most detailed assessments, and it's the deep dive. The rapid performance assessment, what I see members use this for, I see them used in a couple ways. They'll use it as a diagnostic. So if they go into AP area and they run the shorter one and send it to us, we do the validation, compare to our database, generate the report. It's the same type of report. It's your site, the median, top performers broken down by industry, by region, and by size of company. If that report comes back good, just move to the next area. No reason to do that deep dive open standards, okay? I see members also using it in another way. A lot of times, the process improvement people, along with a stakeholder, will be doing these assessments. The person on the top doesn't want a deep dive. They want high-level KPIs and so on, okay? This is mostly key performance indicators, and a lot of our members use it for the high-level presentations. Process improvement people run this and use it as a justification for process improvement in an area. If the report doesn't come back so well, A lot of organizations might go back and run that open standards so that they can really pinpoint the areas of improvement. So the rapid performance assessment, you send it back, you get the same deliverable. It only takes us 2 days, 2 to 3 business days to generate that report. Diagnostic, high-level report. The open standards, 2-week, same deliverable, deep dive. Both of those, you submit your data to get the report. The third way that you can get metrics to your membership is what we call benchmarks on demand. This is that online tool where you get instant results. You can find your metrics in several ways. The way we're going to do it, finance and accounting. Here's all the different areas. Okay, we were looking at accounts payable. When we click that, you'll see all of the measures right here. Okay, and then you could filter by category. They're all checked right now. We could just say, hey, we just want to look at the cycle time measures. So you could go like that, and that's just going to be the cycle time measures. Okay, you could do cost effectiveness, you could staff productivity, and so on. When you look down here, here's the metric ID. That's our internal numbering. Here's the name of the measure, cycle time in days from receipt of invoice until approved and scheduled for payment. You could actually click that and it will give you the definition and it shows it's a KPI. That's that same definition that was in the open standards. It's a cycle time, matches to our cross-industry process classification framework. Is it a KPI or not? Yes. So let's select that one. Total cost to perform that process accounts payable per invoice. So it's measuring the cost per invoice. It's a KPI as well. We're going to select that. Cycle time in days from receipt of invoice until payment is transmitted. Again, a KPI. And just for demonstration, I'm just going to pick those 3. You can pick more. Every time you pick one, it's loaded up in that cart. And when you go to the bottom, that's where you set up your peer groups by industry. I handle CPG, so I'm going to pick CPG. By region, the nice thing about this, you can look at other industries as well. You don't have to just pick your industry. Sometimes people in finance like to benchmark against financial services and banking because they do it for a living. Okay, so we pick consumer packaged goods. Region, we've got North and South America, Asia Pac, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Let's just pick North and South America. And also, you can pick all if you want. Okay, so you can see it globally. Revenue, size of company by revenue. I'm going to pick a good size CPG, 1 to 5 billion. And then all you do is generate report. Now it's pulling down the data from our database. It says success. The default title is going to be the date and time that you pulled it down. You can change the name. You can add more or subtract measures without starting all over by clicking this. You can do the same with your peer groups as well. So from left to right, here's our metric ID, internal numbering. Here's the measure, cycle time in days from receipt of invoice until approved and scheduled for payment. Cycle time measure, this PCF, all companies in our database. The 25th quartile, 7 days. The median, 4 days. The top quartile, 2.60 out of a sample size of 3491. Good sample size. By industry, bottom, median, and top. Interesting thing you'll see, median is pretty much stays the same there, whether it's, and that's by industry, regardless of region, regardless of size. If you look at the region, 74269 out of a sample size of 1540, and size of company by revenue, 6, 4, and 2.5. Here's your sample size, 845 companies. So just remember that when you pull this down, this is an or, okay? All companies or by industry. regardless of region, regardless of revenue, or region, regardless of industry, regardless of revenue. We do this because I present metrics all the time to organizations, and if you do that, resistance, scrutiny, disbelief, fill in the blanks, okay? And typically the first resistance is we're different, okay? I don't know if you ever hear that. I bet you hear we're different. Somehow we're different, okay? So if you present the median as 4 days for the industry and the pushback is we're different, okay? Well, say, hey, let's just forget our industry. Let's forget our industry. Let's look at companies in our region regardless of industry. Interesting, the median's still 4. Okay, well, we're still different somehow or another, okay? Well, let's look at companies our size. It's kind of interesting, the median is still 4. Now, not every metric is going to be that tight, okay? Benchmarking is imprecise science. Even when you look down to this one, the median here, 571, 451, 607, 297. When I talk to companies, sometimes they would look at this 297 as an outlier and actually say that the truth for the median is somewhere between 57, truth for the median is somewhere in between, what is that, 451 and 607, okay? Enterprise members, if you pull down these measures and you look at them and you go back and say, hey, I'd like everybody in our industry and in our region. So instead of or, you want to and. Often when you do the and, it's going to reduce the sample size. You just make the request to us. We look at our database to make sure that we have adequate sample size of 6 or more. And enterprise members have access to that as well. You just make the request. So I've shown you 3 different ways that members get metrics from their APQC membership: the online tool with instant results, benchmarks on demand; 2 ways that you can submit your data in the form of an assessment through the open standards benchmarking and the rapid performance assessments. You'll get a report back from us. Your site, it's validated. Your site, the median and the top performers by quartile, broken down by industry, by region, and size of company. And I forgot to show you, when you're on the open standards benchmarking page, if you click, say, if you wanted a finance and accounting report and you went on to that page, if you wanted to see what the report looks like, you can actually download a sample report so you can see what the deliverable. So I've shown you the quantitative side, how to get metrics, and also how to establish measures. I've shown you the qualitative side, the resource library, on the how-to behind it. How do you get ideas on improvement? Okay. Let me go back to the slide deck and see what is next here. Okay, we've done our guided tour. Oh, and we also have, I'm sorry, let me go back one. You will also have access to what we call the peer-to-peer search. You'll also be able to browse and sort our member directory and actually reach out to other members of APQC. You can search for a specific person or people within an organization, or by a combination of industry, country, and the primary interest of an individual. So when you do the search, typically I go to primary area of interest first, and then I do the widest search. And then after that, I might want to do some narrowing, but it's always good. Typically, you have contacts in your industry. It's always good to have contacts outside of your industry as well, because that way you can balance what you're doing with your industry and see if you can find true, not best in class practices, but world-class best practices to help you improve. As you can the name of their company, the industry they're in, the country, and then the last link is contact. And when you click that contact, a short form will come up. You just put in the topic, put in a short email. It'll go directly to their inbox. And most of the organizations in APQC are very open to networking. We have at least one person with each organization registered, so that at least you'll be able to make one contact, and typically that's the main contact for the organization, and they'll help you facilitate networking within their organization. And also feel free to reach out to your member success manager to help you facilitate networking. I do that all the time. Quick benefits recap. So comprehensive access. Everyone in your organization, every majority-owned subsidiary has access to the membership. You'll have access to best practices resources, our online library of best practice research that contains tools, templates, best practice reports, case studies, and white papers. You'll have access to benchmarks and best practice, benchmarks and comprehensive performance assessments. So those three ways that you get your metrics: the benchmarks on demand, the open standards benchmarking, and the rapid performance assessments. You'll have access to the Ask Us. Remember where I showed you in the resource library where you can click Ask Us and ask questions of our experts. You'll be able to attend webinars, online live presentations covering industry trends and the latest findings from our APQC research. And last of all, we don't just sell you the membership and tell you to go figure it out. Every organization has a member success manager. Our primary duty is to make sure that members get maximum return on investment on the membership. So if nothing has sunk in the whole time that I've talked, please remember this one thing. Whether you have a question, whether you have needs for information, anything at all, always feel free to call or email us. We're here to help. There's no such thing as a dumb question, and there's no limit to the questions as well. We're here to help. We also provide some additional services. We have advisory services. A lot of people know this as consulting. We call it advisory services because we have a totally different model than a consultant model. We can't put a whole lot of people on the ground for a long period of time. Our model is more what we call teaching people to fish. We get in, we work with you to understand the problem, and then we help you solve that problem. But as we're doing that, we transfer our knowledge and expertise to you. So a lot of times we end up working ourselves out of a job, but that's the way that we like it at APQC. We also provide a lot of training opportunities, and you know, the way we are right now with everybody working remotely, I see a lot more needs and requests for training. And we do a lot of virtual training. If you have any training needs, this is a good time to reach out to APQC and see what type of training we provide. We provide knowledge management training, business process management training. We provide measurement, quality, and we can do this from a virtual type of setting. So please, you know, training, and I know that this is coming up a lot more, virtual training, reach out to us if you have those needs. We do custom benchmarking, and as I mentioned earlier, that Mosaic Accelerator to help you get Mosaic set up in your organization. So next steps, please, everyone, if you're not registered for the website, just go back to www.apqc.org and click that register link and go ahead and register for access, whether you're a member or non-member. And if you're a member, go to your member resources page and just check that out a little bit. And again, if you have questions, need more information, please reach out. We're here to help. And I think that's everything that I have. Caitlin, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much, Charles, for that information. I have just a couple questions. The first question is there a certain number of people that can register if my company's a member?
That's an excellent question. I get that question all the time. As a matter of fact, I just got that 2 days ago, but unlimited access. I know that, and it was so funny, and I'm not going to mention the organization, but the company that called me and asked, they said, hey, we're dealing with another company and we always have to shift around the licenses. Who's got the licenses or how many do we have? Hey, you don't have that problem with APQC. Once you're signed up, everyone has access to the membership. We do it by email domains. Great question. Any more questions for me, Caitlin?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Charles. Yes, I do have one more question. Does the enterprise access have any limits to what material you can have?
Another great question. And, that's so funny because I had that question also about 2 weeks ago. That's the beauty of the enterprise membership. It gives you access to everything that we have on the website. Okay, everything we have on the website, and you get additional benefits. You get those, you can do a custom benchmarking assessment where I showed you all of those open standards. Finance, maybe you just want a couple questions out of accounts payable and a couple questions out of cash management, and a couple questions out of finance organization. You can pick questions out of those different surveys, up to 20 questions, and design your own custom survey if you like. Enterprise members, you get access to everything and even more.
Okay, and the last question, Charles. If I'm currently registered, how can I find out if my company is already an enterprise member?
If you're already registered, how would you find out if your company is already an enterprise member? If you click your little icon for yourself on your page, it'll say welcome your name. If you click that, it'll tell you if you're a member, and it'll tell you the type of membership as well.
Perfect, Charles. And I think that's all the time we have for questions right now.
All righty. Thanks again. We really thank you a lot for taking your time to join us today. We realize you're busy and your time is very precious. And if you have any questions or need more information, please feel free to reach out. We're here to help. Thanks again.
Thank you.